Okay, these are the mega jumbo jaws for the one-way chuck, which I prefer to use. Whatever chuck you use, just be proficient with it. To set this up, you have the jaws. They have 2 bumpers per jaw. It's a longer process using this because you have to take the jaws off the chuck, replace this jaw, and then if you have to move where the bumpers were, you have to take them out, move it to where you need it for your piece that you're going to turn. Once you get the bumpers set where you need them for the diameter of piece, you have to take the jaw out off of the current chuck body, unless you have a spare chuck body. It's not a difficult process, it's just time consuming. Use the same screws, although when you get the jumbo jaws they do come with a new set in case you purchased a separate chuck body. That's one jaw. So I'll go ahead and work on the other 4. We'll be right back. Okay, as I finish up with this last jaw, there's an important feature in it. This jaw has the retaining ring or pin which slides along this groove, and that keeps the jaw from expanding too far and getting out of track and having them fly off. It's a safety feature. This last jaw also has that pin. You need to make sure that the pin that you have goes in. There's 2 tracks on this jaw. There's one on each. This one has track also, so you just need to make sure that that pin is engaged. The other aspect of these jaws are you have to have a lathe that has a spindle height of at least 7 inches if the jaws were completely closed, but more than likely when the jaws are open, 8 inches is probably what you're going to need. There are smaller jaws. These are the mega jumbo because they fit on the Powermatic, and that way I can use the holes anywhere you go. As I mentioned earlier, this process from the jaws that were on there to taking these off, so you've got 2 screws out and then 2 screws in. So that's 4, and it's a 32-step process, and that's assuming that you don't have to adjust any of your outer ones. So it takes a few minutes, it's not a big deal. But if you've got a vacuum chuck or a dedicated chuck body to leave these set up on, then you don't have to worry about that. Okay, so go ahead and mount this. Put the chuck on the spindle. Place the bowl up against the bumpers. Now this is going to be in expansion mode. And the only thing we're doing is cleaning up the foot, so we're not going to be doing a lot of cranking on this, so you don't have to put a lot of external pressure on it or outward pressure and split a bowl if you have a thin-walled bowl. Just give it a couple of taps around the rim to make sure that the bumpers are well seated. I always like to bring up the tailstock just to make sure that I am at the center that I was at before. And that's right where I was. Another word of caution, right here on the jaws, it says the maximum RPM for these jaws is 1,000. I recommend not going anywhere close to that, staying well under 500. Again, all you're doing is a cleanup, so it doesn't have to be turning really fast.